Alright, we're here with R L Norris at his house in Marshall, Illinois. Can you tell us your full name and age?
R L Norris. That's it.
92? Is that how old you are? 92?
Huh?
Are you 92? 94.
94 years of age.
Okay. Where have you all lived?
I was born and raised in East Tennessee, near a town called Mountain City, and south from that was the town of Elizabethton, and then the big town 6 miles southwest was Johnson City, Tennessee. I was in between the Iron Mountain and Doe Mountain in a valley in East Tennessee.
Did you work?
I plowed corn for farmers that had farms. A lot of them did carpenter work. But when I reached the age that Roosevelt instituted the CC camp, I volunteered and went, enrolled in that and went to Portland, Oregon. And they shipped me from there on into Astoria, Oregon. And then from there we went to by the sea, by a little town by the name of Warrenton, Oregon. Now this was for young people only, and it was like a army camp. You didn't fool around. Now we got a big pay, $30 a month. And here is the trick to that. They sent $25 home to your father and mother. So we had to live 1 month on $25. Now my schedule in the camp was that first I helped plant trees out on the sand dunes of the ocean. Then I finally got into the maintenance department, then got into the cooking department, and that's where I stayed. Helping cook. And then I finally wound up cooking for the officers and taking care for the officers. Now this was a huge organization. It just wasn't 100 or 200 people, boys. It was quite a few, and it took, let's see, 1 or 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 these long Quonset huts to house all of them. And we all had special duties to perform, and they wasn't no goofing off or trying to do things to outsmart somebody else. And when I came home, well, I worked in the timber for a year, and then I got Army papers drafted when Japan hit Pearl Harbor to be drafted. So I went down to Elizabeth, the nearest town, and told them I wanted to enroll in the Navy. They said, "You've got your Army papers. We can't do nothing to you." I said, "I've heard that it said that the Navy could do anything." They said, "Let me see a minute." Come back and said, "When do you want to go?" I said, "Quick as I can." I said, "I got the paper here to go to Army." Well, it said, "Let us have the papers, you take our papers," and said, "You be here on Monday morning." And I went from there to Nashville, Tennessee, to San Diego, California, and took my training there in communications. I signed up to be a mechanic, but orders came through for boys 20/20 vision. And so I read in that class, and I a little disturbed about it. I tried to flunk out of the class, and the sergeant sat me down one day and talked to me and told me, "Now I know you, how you've been raised, the determination you have, that you can get this course, reading this dot system, communication." He said, "If you don't get it, your pay will come late. You will have to work overtime. You will not get leave like other boys does. Maybe when we go over to Astoria, that was a big town, about 15 miles away, you might not be able to get on the truck." And said, you make up your mind what you want to do." I come out of the course with 86.6. Passed it, and they sent me to the South Pacific, and I was on a ship that repaired the other ships when they come in the harbor, and they then sent me to a boat that had special things on it, and I had to be trained for it. And they asked me would I like it. I said yes. So they trained me for it. This boat had a deck like a car. I had a cabin in it. I mean, a desk, a couch, compass, two-way radio system, light, twin throttles. And you come up out of that cabin onto the deck, and I'd say further to the window, that's about 15 feet, twin engines, and I had to have a mechanic on board at all time, because in case one of them conked out on me. And go in behind that, and I had the deck cabin back there with the kitchenette in it for sleep 4 people, and the commode, and I docked next to the harbor each night. I slept sometimes in the boat or up there, but we had an instrument on the boat. I can't tell you all the things about it. That we could put it down in the water, and it would shoot knuckles, steel knuckles way out in the water. And submarines would latch onto that, and they'd train themselves to like they would hitting a target. I was there 18 months, and I tried to learn how to get acquainted with some natives on the island. They were pygmies, just little people.
Yeah.
And they showed me how to get the bark off of coconuts, and I didn't know what to do, so I got a sack with a bunch of apples in it. Now I got all apples, candy bars. All candy bars the same, because I didn't want to get one with a nut in it. They would think that, something wrong. And I met them on the island, and I took the paper off the candy bar, and I took a bite of it. And I gave it to the chief. He turned it down, took a bite of it, and he lit eyes up, and then I like it, give it out to the teenagers and everything. And they ate, and from then on, every time they saw me coming down the island door, they began to jump up and down. They know they was going to get something good. Can you turn that off a minute?
Yeah.
when I arrived back in the United States, they reassigned me to a new cruiser, light cruiser, Flint, Michigan. And they christened us and sent us to the South Pacific, and we got in on the part of the ore in the Philippines, and from there on into Tokyo, I was in every battle that they had. Sending signals, watching planes. It became very difficult at times, staying at sea for 90 days or something similar to that because of war going on. You didn't know where the planes was coming from, how many they would be, but you had to be ready for everything. But we moved on to Iwo Jima. If it hadn't been foggy that morning, I could have watched the Marine raise the American flag. And from there on into Tokyo, and we had a Commodore on our ship. He was over all the destroyers. But I forgot to tell you, we had a small crew, small fleet. 4 aircraft carriers, 2 battle wagons, 2 heavy cruisers, 2 light cruisers on which side, and about 14 or 15 destroyers. When we made a raid on anything, there wasn't nothing left. And we made it, and our ship was a flagship because we had a Commodore on it, and he was over the destroyers. And he picked on me a lot because I could read that stuff as it come. And after the war was over, we were designated to patrol the Tokyo Bay Harbor. Anything in the air didn't head for land, we'd shoot it down. Any boat on the water didn't move, we'd sink it. And we got signed that. Now, me being the head of the communications department in the enlisted part, I did all the reading of the lights because generally the men with the braid on them wanted people with special ability to read the light where they could do it fast and get out. Now, I'm not saying that I was right for any others, but they just took and left it. And we did the harbor. Now, I don't know about looking at things or letting people say, well, he's doing, but I saw on the Missouri men, tables. Now, we had a 24-inch searchlight, and I had a 38-inch, 36-inch telescope. Looking through that, I knew they were signing a peace treaty. I could see it, but the men were only 2 or 3 inches long. And one person I could see that had a hat or cap on. See, and me being in the Pacific, I knew MacArthur, and I knew he was under it. And so we signed that, and I got to go ashore after a few times. I saw the hill that Haruhito lived in. I watched some of the ways that they did things. They'd come to the gate and bow, father, wife, children, side, and pay homage to him and get up and leave. And then coming back to the United States, we, after everything was over, we came under the Golden Gate Bridge, flowers that people throwing at us, and the lights was going, and all the communication division was answering as many as they could. Finally, the Commodore said, "Shut them down." See, we shut them down and nothing coming. And they gave sending a message, and I took it and it said, "You on the tug?" And the Commodore said, "Negative." So I wrote negative. And he started into the dock. And he got just about where he wanted, and he said, "Right full rudder, engines full speed astern." And that ship began to shake just like that. It began to ease over. He began to cut the speed of the engines. He cutting that down, and moving slower and slower. He eased that big old ship up against that dock. I don't think it was a squashed worm. He turned around and looked at me, said, "I knowed I could do it." Now, is there anything else?
Yeah.
Anything else? And then I came home, and I got working in the places, and I just wasn't happy. And I felt the Lord calling me to preach. I went to church one night. They had having a revival, and there wasn't nobody there but me. He just preached to me. I said, I'll work strict on him. So the next day, I went to see, back then they'd have morning services, where you could go there, and the elderly people would come and pray for the people. So I said, I'll go to that one. I went to that, and then I surrendered to preach on that morning. And then I went from there into school, into Texas. I spent 6 years. I graduated from Howard Payne University and a degree in the seminary. And I came home, and we felt called to go north, and we went up into Indiana, and I got a job and contacted some missionaries, and from there on, I didn't have time to use any of my reading or in all that I did. I was starting missions. I'd grow them up to where they'd pay a preacher salary. I'd go to another mission. And finally I came to, recommended me, and I came to Clarksville with the intentions of going back. And Lawrence Larkin's son was going to college, getting a degree in agriculture. And he come to me and said, "I'd like to make a deal with you." I said, "Well, what can?" He said, "I'd like, if you could, help me farm." He had 600 acres. Get the corn out, and said then you would have time off for Bible school, study courses, and visit. Then help me get it, the grain in the evening. So we did that, and I think it was the second year that I was with him that we was going to start picking beans that morning. And I left my dirty clothes on because you had to get under there and take the headers off, not like they are automatic today. And he had three bins, and he had a auger outside of one. We was going to put that auger around and put it in. We went around to lift that auger up. Now, I don't know whether this was a freak accident or where it was something we didn't see. But I started down to pick that auger up. I took 7,200 volts of electricity that came down on the cross-country power line. and he threw a bucket of water in my mouth, or in my face, said my tongue was lolled out and I was purple, and he did that, said I began to breathe, and they took me to the hospital, broke nothing, but it tore my muscles up, and my nerves made that. And I went to the First Baptist Church over at Altamont, and I saw that there was difficulty in my life. Me, with my training, my education, I sought professional help. And they said, you'd have to quit full-time preaching. Well, I said, I can knock on doors and take exercise. Said, that won't work. Said, you take exercise, we won't take it next day because you'll be hurting. But said, if you get out and get a job and then act as interim pastor, said, you have to go back to that job if you don't complete it and then work it out. And that's what I did for about the last 15 years. I acted as interim pastor, and I acted as interim pastor at Marshall twice over at Martinsville, Enon, Paris, somewhere else I acted as interim pastor. I performed a lot of weddings, conducted a lot of funerals. I've had a good time. I've had a fruitful life. I've had my ups and downs, but I've been blessed. That's it.
You good?
Hmm?
You want to talk about like your family and growing up, and
Yeah.
are you okay with talking about all that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I was growing up, we really had the material to go on. We have popcorn parties. The people of the house would string a wire out around the house where they'd put lanterns on it, have lights. We'd have hot popcorn parties, have cake parties, and they didn't come in couples. You were not allowed to have couples. You come there as an individual. And in church, the director of youth took us about every 2 or 3 months. He'd have somewhere for a farmer that had a truck with a bed on it, straw in it, and take us somewhere on location. We were kept busy doing things for the Lord while we worked and had fellowship around it. There was no fighting, anger. Oh, you get timmed off. You know, you walk a girl home from church at night, and I mean, you'd go home on high. And one guy come to me and he said, I'm going to take your girlfriend home tonight. I said, all right. Lord behold, he did. He walked her, she walked her. Well, another friend in church come up to me, said, now he's scary. Said, let's scare him. Well, his brother come up alongside and said, what are you doing? I said, we're thinking about what we can do for Keys. He's taking my girlfriend home. He said, that's just fine. We went to a little place up kind of on the holler, you know. It had a stream coming in. We called it a little creek. And it had had a bank on it, and big trees out there called sugar trees. And we'd sat down there and we would talk, and there was a gate up above it, a road where there was a curve. It was only about 3/4 of a mile up there. My uncle and I raced each other from church to where I lived. But we sat there and figured out what we could do. And finally I come up, then we wore white shirts generally, or color shirt and blue jeans, a lot better looking than what we have today. And I said, how about us taking our shirt off and tying that shirt around us, and that little knoll out there, getting our shirt tails out, and go out there on a bum. When he comes along, and his brother said, he'll be whistling, because keep it up. Walk out on there all together, and then we'd separate and pull the shirt tails out and start dancing. We did. We just did that when we got out there. We did that. He jumped up about 2 feet, come down and took off, and his brother just laid down in the road when he crossed and just laughed. When he got home, they slept together in the same room. While he was taking his clothes off, he was a-shaking because he knew he was going to have to tell him. And my dad come home the next day and said, what did you do with, why did you do to Keys what he did last night? We were going to church. I said, we wanted to have some fun. Nobody was hurt, you see, except he would just run to death. And the things like that we did. One thing that I did, we would take a string, a long string, we'd put wax on it, and we'd get a can, like a pop can, put a hole in each end. We'd put that string through that hole, and then we would, put a thing on it, and we'd get ease along and put it on somebody that we'd tie a string on a knife, and I tried one on my knife one night, went up to the to the window, and it went, and the guy over the bank down from their house tightened that string up, and out in front of that can, he began to, like he was playing the fiddle, like tore that guy was walking around the house. Finally I got a chance to get up there and get my knife. Got going, we started. That's the kind of tricks we pulled on people. Didn't hurt nobody.
So what were your parents' names?
Huh?
Your parents' names.
My dad was R L Norris, and my mother was Lottie Norris, and my brother was Aaron Norris, and my oldest sister was Lila Norris, and the other sister was Frances, and the next sister was Marlene, and the last sister was Tressie. There were 6 of us, and I worked part-time, worked some in Pennsylvania, where my sister was. They kept me, and I helped my sister Leela out, and we were all good. I wouldn't say, partial to one another, because we all tried to come up with something good to give to Christmas. Although we were teenagers, we'd be out helping people and pulling their corn and stuff. Maybe we'd get 25 cents or 50 cents, something like that. And we just had a good time cutting our own trees, decorating it, made homemade stuff. It's like one of the girls, maybe it'd have a dress that wasn't too good, or had underpants that wasn't no count. She'd lit them up with, we'd make twists, and Mom would help. And we'd have a nice Christmas tree, and Dad would get some stuff for us. And we had our bad times because we were poor people.
Mhm.
Now I can tell you, I'd had to take sometimes cornbread to school with just molasses on it. Now you know how we ate. And I did that for a while. And Dad come, some of the people, some of the boys would have peanut butter and stuff. And somebody could come home one time. I wasn't the only family. They were other family that looked like that. And he said, do you know what you're doing to your son? No. Said they're making fun of him for bringing his own cornbread and molasses. He said, I don't believe in that kind of living. He said, I think it's about time for you to clean it up. Boy, that really rejuvenate me. And next day, they started running, and 3 days later, I was eating her peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and they was eating my cornbread. So they learned that we need to share with one another, and that's the way we did in school.
So do you still have brothers and sisters alive?
Huh?
Do you have brothers and sisters that are still alive?
I have 2 sisters alive.
2 sisters? Are they younger?
Yeah, I'm the oldest one. I'm the oldest one in the family.
Mhm. And do you have kids?
3.
3?
Ron Norris over Casey.
Mhm.
He's at the in a what those trailer places. He works at one of them. He's been working there for 50 years. He knows what the trailer is looking at it, and he prepares it. They have a big trailer shop over on the lake, and then he does a lot of off work. Then he goes to other campgrounds and then in the fall he winterizes all the lakes. All that was left there because people wanted to not anything froze up. Then some of the farmers want to get their ready not to buy up, and he don't have to empty the pool, fix it, and and then some of the farmers people over here in Marshall, Smith, you know him. He has to come over and do his trailer, and other people here have to winterize all their trailers. Then he works on trailers off the road in the winter, and in the summer he has to go through the process of de-winterizing everything in these lakes, getting them ready, and then he does the same thing on that. And then on the road, people come in with motors not working good, or air conditioners out of order, hot tanks, that stuff, or brakes is going bad. So I was over there one time. He had a trailer mirror that back out. I never saw such a trailer. He had brakes on it, had pads that wide. I never saw it. He said, "How would you like to put them on?" There he sat, and I never saw such brakes. It took him about 2 days to get that thing shod. And back when they had that storm in the wintertime, there was a storm several years ago. He had them lined up, I think, for about a half a mile, replacing windshields and glasses and stuff where hail had knocked them out. Plus his own. Then after the storm was over and he had to start replacing all the things in the damage in his stuff. Now that's his job. And he has a tool, we'll fix a tool, And my youngest son retired from the Air Force in 3 years ago, I think about it. He stayed off about 6 months, and he went over to Texas A&M College, where he'd been teaching, and he'd been all the world. And the Air Force say he's one of the best communicators he is that they had, computer operators.
Mm-hmm.
So he stayed enough of that. And so after he retired and got all of it, everything to do, why, he can be all right. So he's sitting there in the lounge, and there's a bunch of names on the board. He went down and picked out a name and said, I want to sign up for that. And he did. He got it. And there was another name available, and a Marine got it. And both of them the same rank, Lieutenant Colonel. And they get together and coordinate their literature. So one security guy couldn't jump from one class to another. Now they're teaching cadets in Texas A&M College. And he always calls me when Texas A&M's going to have football, and I gave him on TV.
What about a wife? Were you?
He married a Christian Mexican wife. I flew out to Arizona and performed it.
What about you? Were you married?
At that time?
Yeah.
I got married. My wife couldn't do it without me in seminary, so I asked her, proposed to her. We got married in Kansas City. That's where her home was. We got married in Kansas City in church there, and we were together in school the rest of the time. And we both worked together because we studied. Thanks to this, you're young, I'm going to lay it on the line.
Mm-hmm.
When you study the human body and nature, 40% of the body system that it will produce sexual hormones or sexual effects. 60% will produce touches together. And when people begin to know and study their body, study each other, and soon each one knows what to do, where to do, how to do, and it makes things go well. And to it, you need to seek counsel in doing, and not fly off a pillar and start never holler. That's about the worst thing you can do is stomp your feet and holler. You need to turn upside down and bunch your head in the floor and do things which is right. People will do things to you that will be insulting, and smile and go on. Just say if I had a stick, I'd bop them one, but that wouldn't be nice.
Why do you think all that stuff sticks out, your memory of all the military and stuff? Why do you think it all is there?
Right now, and I watch special programs. Well, like, if anybody says anything about it, well, you go and ask them. Like in the wars in the Pacific, like in Iwo Jima, I won't say a lot, but I'll say several. Several mistakes were made by the military that cost a lot of lives. If they would just only studied things out and did it in the right way, they would have, that we wouldn't have lost as many lives. And that's the way I think in the way of human life. If we don't like something, if we're married, if we don't, each of us don't like something, we need to sit down and talk it out, figure out what it's going to cost, how do we like it, so, and not jump up and say, I'm you. You can't have your control all the time. So it's rough. It's rough, but it can be done. And above everything, it can be enjoyable. And when you see each other, you appreciate each other. You say, I hate to see her coming home tonight. So you sit in a chair, maybe TV, she looked better than her, that thing. You like that, huh?
What are some of the major events that stick out to you about your whole lifetime, I guess? I'd say the big one would be Pearl Harbor. Is that a national or a worldwide event that sticks out?
Well, you want to cut that off? I'll tell you a couple.
Can I leave it on, or would you rather it off? If you want it off.
Well, I don't think people would like this.
It's an interview, RL. If they have a problem with the way you feel about things, I think
Okay.
I'm going to let you go.
In South Pacific, when they was in wanting me to come back to the United States, I filled out an application to do it. And it got to the shore. My captain had filled it out, put in our air transportation requested. The commander of South Pacific saw that and he put on there, air transportation authorized. So when it come time for us to come back to the United States, we was called to meet at a certain place. And we all got to bed and it come to the point where I was head in rank. I had to take care of all the papers. Everything was done. And I had Army guys on there that, you've heard of that swamp rot, hadn't you?
Mm-hmm.
All them guys had been out there, hadn't seen, they didn't hardly don't know what a woman looked like. And they were mean. I mean, you said something to them, it's too bad, you'd be down. And we got on it, I took care of them. Coming back, we got to Pearl Harbor. And we went, they had an administration building like Macon, you know, you go in, they got a portal, you up and talk to them. And I went up to that porthole and I said, there's a guy back there, I don't know what rank he was. He said, what you need? I said, I want these papers processed so we can have a place to sleep tonight and something to eat. He said, I'll get with you in a few minutes. Now, I don't know who it was, Army man or Marine, slapped me on the back and said, Norris, crawl through that hole and get him and throw him out here, and said, we'll beat the hell out of him. He was an officer coming through the door. It had quite a few braid on it. He picked those papers up. He said, son, you better read these papers. And he said, I'm getting out of here. I think maybe he was just a little bit afraid I'd get him too. So we were taken care of.
What do you think, like, about more current events, like when 9/11 happened and stuff?
I think it is something that more or less that God is letting people, now people say God did this, God doesn't. He's in control, but he's given men the opportunity to pursue ways and do too many things. Uh, uh, Things like that, I think if they had been alert, wouldn't have happened. The way they too much in negotiation. Just like I told a patrolman one time, down on the south side of the bank, there was a station down there was operating and it had been robbed. And I just happened to pull up. They still giving station gas. And they said, I said, it's a shame that people are getting away with something like that. I said, there needs to be some guard around to prevent such action to being taken like that. He spoke up and said, oh, no, you can't do that. He said, you're supposed to bring them inside. I said, you want to come down to my house and kick on my door like you want to come inside? I said, there'll be an ambulance right behind you to take you off. Boy, he got in his patrol car and got gone in a hurry. Oh, I wouldn't fool with him. That's just how I feel about it. It's just like a woman I heard on say, she was a marksman, and two men kicked the door in to rob her. She dropped both of them. She called 911. Police came. She said, "You're to get this garbage out of this house." Said there won't be no investigation. You understand? And I think people need to take a stand for issues. Like, if I hurt your feelings and I know it, I'm going to apologize. And I love you and I'll help you and do everything. But if you keep gouging me, somewhere along the line, you'd wish you would have kept your mouth shut. Mm-hmm. Somewhere there's an end, there's a breaking point. And I think we do too much negotiation and sitting then instead of this is going to be the rule, we're going to abide by it. You're going to either help us to enforce it or you're not. Mm-hmm. Instead of giving them money to help them build things up. We need to negotiate with the authority, but yet stand ready to help that authority in progress. Mm-hmm. I ought to run for president.
What do you think about current America?
Huh?
Current America. What's your take on it? What do you think?
Current American? I heard on the other night on TV, there's about 15 men. Now, I don't know what they did, but they were skilled in their labor. They were good in their English presentation. They claimed to be heavily, more or less, in prophecy. They said if America did not clean up within 15 years, we would be a barren nation. Other nations, we would have a global currency. Everybody would have the same currency to deal with. And said other people would be giving us orders instead of we giving other people orders. I'd be like Ronald Reagan when he told a minister in Russian. They don't say things like that. When he told that Russian director, he laid a currents on the line. He said, this is what we have, this is what we are following, and you're going to abide by it or not. And he walked out on him. That Russian leader called him back, and they agreed on the issues. That's what we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Show a little authority, a little agreement in the church, in the way we walk.
Do you have any closing comments? We'll wrap it up.
No, not necessarily. Just take one off, I'll tell you one.
Okay.